Good morrows! Do you like my cloak? Ooh, I kind of look like a fucking Jedi Master in this bitch.
I told you.
Do I look like Merlin? Am I a wizard? Do I need a staff?
You're a wizard, Cam.
You're a wizard, Harry.
But
Ooh.
how long you need for your videos?
Oh, I'm already started. Kind of looks good on camera. It's got Ahsoka in the middle, but it's alright.
It's got Ahsoka in the middle. Alright, I'm
Ahsoka was awesome. What is up, my masters and pupils? Today we are watching episode 6, Teach and Corrupt of the Acolyte. Ooh. Do you guys like my cloak? What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam, and today we are in the Jedi vibes. Only if this was a black cloak, I'd have my Sith on. But yeah, you like my robes? All right, for real this time. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston. My name's Big Cam. Today we are breaking down episode 6 of the Acolyte, Teach/Corrupt, and this one isn't all that, crazy action, not all that much, like last week where it was like a massacre of Jedi. This week is more of a master and a pupil episode. Somebody's being teached, but also are they being corrupted? Or is the other twin corrupting / trying to teach somebody else something? Who knows, but we'll talk all about it. Previously on, last week, at the end of the last episode, the twins, Osha and May, switch places. And May is with Sol on Sol's ship, and he thinks it's Osha, at least that's what we think at the moment. Some real Parent Trap shit, like if this was Lindsay Lohan, if you guys have seen that movie, shout out that movie. Honestly, I think there's a second Parent Trap that's even earlier than the Lindsay Lohan one, but comment below, should I do those as movie reviews? But no, this is a episode breakdown of the Acolyte, and Chimere, right, has been awesome. Honestly, that reveal of that Sith last week, and him saying, I have accepted my darkness, this art that somebody did on Twitter I saw floating around. I don't know who did this, but shout out to that artist, because this just looks dope. Probably will use that as my thumbnail for the video, so thank you to that guy. But the unmasking of him and the way that he killed Jackie, 3 shots through the chest, and then we get the reveal of him, like, he's just so good, and like so many questions, like, is he the first Ren? Is he a Knight of Ren? I don't know, man, but the showrunner Leslie Headland said that we're gonna find out, so I'm excited. And Disney in Star Wars released this picture of the Acolyte of like the blades moving, and I like how you see like the motion blur of the lightsabers moving. Oh, it looks so good. But they also released this description of Chimere / the Sith, and they've been calling him the Stranger. And it says, the Stranger, with a specialized cortosis gauntlet and mask permanently twisted into a frightful grin. The Stranger, with a red-bladed lightsaber, appears as if out of thin air. While some may call him a Sith, little is known of the Darksider, who has been training May Anastasia in secret, hiding his face from his pupil. When needed, he has adopted this alias, Chimere, acting as a shiftless drifter and a supplier with seemingly no cares at all other than his own amusements. Ooh, a little ominous description of Chimere the Stranger. So his real name's not Chimere. We only know him as the Stranger, the Sith, or his alias Chimere. So if you hear me say any of those names, he is who I'm referring to. But I wonder if he is Ren, or like the first Ren. And if he's even really a Sith, because his little lair we see in this episode isn't really like lava or like any of the other Siths, like dark and red, and like there's always seems like it's black and red type environment. His environment kind of just seemed like a cave, kind of like just a little hideout. He had food, a little swimming area, but it is what it is. We open on this episode with Osha waking up not healed, right? So at the end of the last episode, people were theorizing that he was force healing, and it looks like he wasn't force healing. But he did apply bandages to her wound for her and took her to this planet that it just is described as unknown planet. And it kind of looks like Octu that we know of from Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that, from where Rey went to meet Luke and stuff like that. But it looks like that, but it also kind of doesn't look like that. So maybe it's a completely other planet that we don't know of yet in the Star Wars universe. But we see Chymere's ship over there on the rock, a short swim from the beach. We know it is Osha that wakes up here because we see the tattoo on her arm that we established in the first or second episode. So she wakes up, looks around a little bit, gets a drink of water, finds one of May's knives, so equips herself because she knows she's probably somewhere that she doesn't really know. And then she walks out to the beach, and we cut to the intro, and then after the intro we cut to these little creatures on the beach, and they're like honestly the cutest little things I've ever seen. And this is one of my favorite parts about Star Wars, honestly. Like, these little creatures have absolutely nothing to do with the story or what's happening in the show The Acolyte, but in the universe of Star Wars we are establishing that these creatures live on this planet and are native from this planet, and they live on the beach, and as people walk by they put their heads down and don't move and disguise themselves as rocks as if it's camouflage. I love them so much. They're so cute. A little mom, dad, and a little baby. Oh, I want one. I want one. I want all of them. I want one so bad. It's like when they showed us Grogu. We were all like, we don't care if it's Yoda's baby or not, but I call it Baby Yoda, and I want to hug it and squeeze it. Oh, man, it's so cute. She goes down to the water, and then she turns around and sees Chimere walking away. But then we cut back to Kofar, and Sol is just taking off on his ship, and he's trying to radio back to the Jedi Council what happened here. And he's like, my whole team is dead, but he has bad signal. We cut to another angle of the ship. May is on the ship with Basil, and Basil's kind of watching her, lurking around the ship, and he's like onto her. You can tell he's sniffing her out. He is a hunter, so he knows. He can sense it from her smell that she is not Osha. She is the other one. So we see May sneaking up behind Sol with a dagger, ready to stab him in the back. But it's May, but she looks like Osha. So like, this is when it starts to get confusing. But May, as Osha, is about to stab Sol in the back, and Sol goes, Osha, take the wheel. And so she just kind of like puts the knife down, and like he walks by her and goes and takes a breather real quick. And this little subtle bit of acting we get from Sol is so good. Like, he goes and just like goes up to a screen, like reboots the screen, and he like just kind of like has a minute to breathe. Has no lines, but we just see like the distress on his face of like he just lost his whole Jedi friends. He's facing a Sith. He's not sure where May is, you know, where the other twin is. The whole goal was to get May, bring her in, but you know, we start to realize what he's realizing in these moments, but we'll get to that in a minute. We cut back to Basil, and he plugs in Pip and starts charging him up, and then we cut back to the real Osha, back on this unknown planet. We're just going to call Octu for the moment. Osha, back on Octu, is watching Chimere, and he strips down, and she watches instead of like, you know, jumping out and stabbing him at the moment, or throwing the knife, or, you know, I don't know, stopping him, like talking to him before he gets naked. She sits there, ducks down, hides, and then he starts to get naked, and she kind of, ooh, so you're almost meant like they are older. She's 20-something. He says he's actually really old, but we'll get to that in a moment as well. And the dialogue that they have in this conversation is so funny, but also like some deep shit. Like, you get really into it, man. It's a good episode for dialogue if you're really into that type of stuff. So Chimere, as he's getting unrobed, we see his scarred up back, and we find out later that he was stabbed in the back, but by who? You know, Osha says something. We'll get to that when it happens. But we just see his scarred up body and his back, but his ripped body. You know, I was surprised they didn't House of the Dragon us and show full fucking wang. But it is Disney, so they couldn't just do that. This isn't necessarily a rated R show, even though it has had some darker scenes and, you know, a lot of death, but, you know, still. So she sneaks over to his clothes and grabs his lightsaber, and he goes, how does it feel? Feels good, doesn't it? And then she like, you know, she didn't think he knew she was there, but he clearly did. And this was all a ploy for her to go and grab his lightsaber, and for him to show her that he is not afraid of her with a weapon in her hand. He just took on 1 on 12. He can take on a Jedi that hasn't been a Jedi in a while, pretty easily. But she gets into a stance, and he's like, your stance is good, but you should keep your other elbow higher. He's like giving her pointers, like, so he's already establishing the master and the student, the master and the pupil type of environment. And then she goes, stay where you are into the water. And he goes, if you're not going to join me, I'd like to put my clothes back on. Walks out out of the water, and he's still like naked standing there. And he's like, you're wondering if it's honorable to kill me like this. And she's kind of like, He's like, you're wondering if I can read your mind. I can't. Your anger betrays your thoughts. And then she goes, am I your prisoner? And he goes, prisoner? You're the one with the weapon. You know, he's like, am I your prisoner? Like, kind of tries to turn it on her. And I really like it because every time she asks him a question, he kind of answers in another question. He doesn't necessarily just tell her straight answers. He kind of like makes her think about it, and like he wants to know what she's thinking rather than putting thoughts in her head. Which, you know, is very much so a mastery thing for him to do, but also like a deceptive thing for him to do. Like, definitely deceiving this poor young girl. And Osha asks, did you kill Sol? Did you kill May? And he goes, no. Interesting you asked about him first, though. And she's kind of like, you know, oh, fuck, I did ask about my master rather than my sister. And then he goes, special relationship, isn't it, master and pupil? And then we cut back to Sol, and he goes back into the room with May, and he hugs her and goes, Osha, you saved us. You saved me. But it's May. And then he goes, that man corrupted your sister. And you just see, like, May standing there, like, being the sister that he corrupted, and just kind of like, I know, yeah, that's so crazy. My sister and that Sith, oh, God. You know, like, it's just pretending to be Osha. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Sol's got to be seeing through her a little bit. If not, just move her hair. You'll see a tattoo on her forehead, right? Like, can't be that hard. But then we cut to Vanestra Rowe talking to a senator, and she gets news of Sol and his team. Then we cut back to Chimera and Osha walking on the beach, and she says, you speak as if you're a Jedi. He says, I was. I've never heard of you, she says. It was a really, really long time ago. And then she goes, why'd you bring me here? He goes, why do you think? She goes, leverage. Everyone does seem to want you. If you keep me here, Sol will come to you. Sol is very powerful with the Force. And he goes, someone should teach you that Sol's strength in the Force is yours, right? Like, he's not just strong in the Force. You can be strong in the Force as well. Like, and whoever was your teacher telling you that, no, my strength's better than yours is only this good, you know, like, no, your teacher should make you feel like your power is like, you know, endless. And then afterwards, after he tells her, like, you know, gives her a pointer, like, listen, the strength in the Force that your master has is the same strength in the Force that you can have. He goes, if you want to leave, you can take the ship. It's just a short swim, but if you want to wait till the tide goes down, you can wait till later. And then goes, are you hungry? You know, like, offers her food. The officer tells her she can leave, so she's not prisoner, right? Like, he just brought her to this place. You know, and, like, he doesn't want to hurt her, clearly. He gave her the weapon. Was like, no, if you want to hurt me, you can. Asked her if she's hungry. Then we cut back to May getting caught by Basil trying to grab Pip. And Pip squirts her in the eye. And I have a little clip of this that I just thought was hilarious. The yell that Amanda Stenberg yells out at the end of this clip killed me. I laughed so hard.
Hey, relax, hey, whoa, relax, okay?
Oh, the clip cuts off early, but as soon as Pip squirts her in the eye there, she goes, ah! Like, it's so funny. Oh, man. But May then grabs Pip and resets him, and his eyes turn red, much like when C-3PO got reset in The Rise of Skywalker, or whatever one it was, where he got reset to read the Sith holocron. So is Pip like reset for good now? Like Pip's not gonna remember Osha? Like that's my thought. I'm like, oh, she stole Pip. But then we cut back to Chimere and Osha, and Chimere says the Jedi teach that there's only one way to do the Force, and if you don't do it, it fades. That's not true. There's more than one way. Anger, fear, loss, desire. And as he says desire, he turns and looks at her. It's like, are these two about to fuck? Am I shipping Osha and Chimere now? Like, I kinda am. Like, I'm into it. But he says anger, fear, loss, desire. She goes, that's the path to the dark side. He goes, semantics, right? So just brushes it off, like, yeah, dark side, light side, power is power, right? And I'm like, ooh, like, I'm really buying in on who the Sith is and being like, all right, what is the real story behind this guy here? I need to know more. But then she goes, you murdered my friends. And he goes, I killed Jedi. I killed those who threatened my existence. She goes, you killed Yord. He goes, a man who didn't even hesitate to turn you in for a crime you didn't commit. You killed Jackie. And where did you think that was going to go? Ooh, and she had feelings for Jackie. And then she goes, I'm not my sister. I'm not that easily corrupted. And then walks out and he goes, aren't you forgetting something? You came here to do something. Do it. Turn it on. He wants her to fucking ignite the lightsaber in his chest and kill her. Or kill him. She goes, the Jedi don't attack the unarmed. They didn't want you. That's not true. I left. They didn't throw me away. Why aren't you a Jedi, Osha? Because I failed! And she ignites the blade and puts it up to his neck. Now this shot, I was like, oh, they knew exactly what they were doing. She's like, threatening him, they're talking, and then he just reaches up, grabs her arm instead of like the lightsaber to pull it away or force push her off of him. Like, he's very powerful. We know he could easily stop this. He might even be able to stop her from putting the blade through his neck, but he might even want to die at this point. He kind of implied that he was a Jedi a very long time ago. So, like, how old is this dude? He does look like a young guy, but in Star Wars, there's people that can be hundreds of years old, and it is what it is. But, like, just the way that he's looking at her and the way that she looks at him, I'm like, man, Star Wars is so good. I love The Acolyte. This show's been so good, and just how they're, like, so good together. But as what he says to her when the blade's up to his neck, he goes, I understand. I lost everything, Osha, but that's when you're finally free. So once you've lost everything and you have no more to lose, that is once you are finally free. Then we cut back to Vanestra Rhodes talking to another Jedi named Mog. And some people on the internet thought this Mog was a young Palpatine. I was like, what? In the Jedi? No way. I can't imagine this being Palpatine. His name's Mog. But he's concerned about Vanestra Rhodes. He's like, you get sick with long distance hyperspace travel to the outer rims. She's like, I don't get sick. It's unsettling, which apparently is a thing from her comics, which I'm like, okay, a little character beat for Vanestra Rhodes. I thought she was all powerful and all badass. Instead, she's afraid to fly. Okay, but she's like, I'm going. I need to settle this personally. Then we cut to Basil sneaking away from Osha. Osha talks to Sol, so this is actually May. How could I not sense that villain's true intentions? Ironic, as he's blind right now, and he's not seeing that this is May. Have you told me everything that happened on Brendock? Right, so now May's questioning Sol about Brendock. He doesn't tell her about Brendock, and then she turns around, like the power turns on in the ship, and she turns around and goes to the radio to start messaging in, and Sol stuns her. And I'm like, oh shit, so he knew this was May all along, or he just figured this out right this second as she asked that question and walked away. Right over the radio, we hear, Master Sol, your rescue team is on the way. Leave your transponder on. He turns it off, and then blasts off into hyperspace, and then literally a second later, Vanestra Rhodes pops in, right? So he goes this way, they go this way. If he waited 1 second longer, they would have collided. And hyperspace is dangerous. You can't be just blipping into hyperspace and just popping in the middle of a planet. You'll die. Like, we've seen that happen in one of the Star Wars movies where a big giant destroyer popped in as ships were about to fly away. And as it pops in, it's like two late to turn or evade it, and they just crashed into it, and this big ship obviously could take it, so it just destroys those other ships crashing into it. Then we cut to a shot of the Jedi, and Master Venestra Rho is talking to the other Jedi that's with her, and they start looking around on Kofar. Then we cut back to the real Osha in Chimere as he's welding his mask. Osha asks her, "Did you give that same pitch to my sister?" And he goes, "No." And she goes, "What do you want?" He goes, "The power of 2, which is like, the power of 1, the power of 2, the power of many. Still laughing about that from a couple episodes ago. I said this earlier, but yeah, every time that she asks a question, he answers with another question before actually answering. But he baits her into asking because he shows this scar again on his back. And it does look very gnarly, right on his spine, and like a back shot. But he baits her into asking, and Osha goes, "How'd you get that scar on his back?" And he goes, "How do you think? It looks like somebody stabbed you in the back." And he goes, "Somebody who threw me away." And she goes, "You're Jedi Master?" And he doesn't necessarily answer that, but he knocks on the helmet and goes, "Cortosis." Right? And he was welding it earlier, so like you can see where all the broken parts are like welded together, and he goes, "It's made out of cortosis." And he goes, handy against lightsabers, but also a sensory deprivation helmet like we used as younglings. So like those big helmets that we see the younglings in the other movies, and like the mask that Luke wears in the first one to like, it like blocks your vision, so it makes you connect to the Force. But also apparently it makes me feel better, like if any of those younglings swung a lightsaber accidentally too far and hit their the head of one of their youngling other friends, the helmet should stop the blade. It makes me feel better about that, at least. And then he goes, "Hey, try on the helmet." She goes, "I don't trust you." And he goes, "Nor should you, but you should learn just to trust yourself." And she looks at the helmet. We cut back to Venestra back on Kofar, and she sees Jecki and Yord, right? A little jump scare shot of Jecki and Yord dead on the ground. I was like, are you serious? This is where we're going to go from this? Oh my God. And they, see the whole crime jungle, if you would, and Jedi dead everywhere. And Mog goes, "No sign of Osha, her twin. They must have escaped." And Venestra asks Mog, "What do you see here?" He explains he sees an explosion, and then a battle, one versus many. His powers extraordinary, his only goal to leave no survivors. We get to see the lightsaber whip from Venestra as she senses a bug coming in. We get to see the lightsaber whip for the first time. A no-look little fucking blah, and swipes back and gets a nice little shot on the bug creature, slices it in half, and doesn't even have to look. Little no-look shot. So that's kind of cool. We got to see it for the first time, not in combat or anything, but we just kind of get to see the whip, which is cool. But I thought for sure it was going to be like not just killing a bug, it was going to be the only time we see it. Hopefully, this is 6, so 7 and 8, hopefully we get to see Venestra Rho use that lightsaber whip a little bit. There still has to be a flashback episode somewhere in there where we find out what happened on Brendok. I'm hoping that won't be the finale, and that will be maybe next episode. Mog then goes, "Soul could have done this. The strength that it would have taken to kill everybody with a lightsaber, the skill that you would need to kill all these people." In Venestra's, "That is quite the accusation. Who else would have done this?" She goes to herself, "Something to tip the scales." We cut back to May, waking up, locked to a bed, right? So Soul has her all locked up, and he goes, "I have no intention of harming you, May. I've thought about what I would say to you if I ever got the chance for the last 16 years, so you're gonna listen." So that's where we'll pick up with them next episode, with May listening to what Soul has to say. And just one more or two more scenes here. Then we cut back to Osha, walks over, touches the helmet, and then she puts it on, and she lowers it down, and she puts it on. This is May wearing the helmet here, and we just hear the inside shot of the little slits that it can barely see, and just kind of like the Darth Vader. And it sounds so cool, but then that's where we cut to credits. I was like, are you kidding me? So Osha is being taught, but she's also being corrupted. May is trying to corrupt Soul, but maybe Soul is gonna teach May, but also May corrupted Pip. Pip is now red-eyed, so like, you know, she didn't really learn shit that episode, so hopefully, you know, the teaching and the corrupting, it seems like that's just really Osha. She's getting taught, but also maybe corrupted into the dark side of the Force. But she tried on the helmet, she's spending all this time with Chimere. I think they might be a new little power couple that I might like to see being dirty, dark villains, you know what I'm saying? But who is Chimere's master, right? Was it Vanestra Rowe? Was it the lightsaber whip that caused that scar on the back of Chimere? Or what, did he have another master? Or was it not a master at all? And did he do this himself? Or did his Sith master, you know, condemn him and send him away, and he stabbed him in his back on his way out? Because the only thing he says about the stab in his back was, someone threw me away, right? So not even like someone told me to leave, somebody threw me away, like treated me as if I was trash and tossed me out on the curb. Like, that's some tough shit. But I gotta say, Amanda Stenberg had to have been having a blast with this, right? Because she's in 2 different scenes in this show, in this episode, but she's getting the chance to play 2 people that look exactly the same, but 2 completely different ways. Like, as an actress, that's got to be so much fun, and she's actually killing it. She's definitely been one of my favorite parts about this show, if not Chimere. And now Chimere, is he going to be a Knight of Ren, or Ren himself? Like, is he going to be the one that starts the Knight of Ren? Or, like, is that what this show's about? Like, is this show, The Acolyte, just a secret Knights of Ren origin story? If so, I'm totally into it, and I want to see these last 2 episodes so bad, and I gotta see the finale, and you know, even a season 2 I would be in for. And apparently this is the 2nd highest watched show for Star Wars, only being beat out by Obi-Wan, which shocks me. I would have thought for sure, obviously people know Obi-Wan, and then it was Dad Darth Vader, so people wanted to see that one, and it was like, you know, paying homage to the old ones and the new ones. Yeah, that show was good. I liked Obi-Wan, but I like probably Mandalorian better. And then people hated Boba Fett. I loved Boba Fett. And then Ahsoka, fucking Ahsoka's show was by far my favorite show, if we're talking, you know, lightsabers, Jedi, and that type of stuff, because I still think Andor is so underrated, right? And yeah, it's longer, it's 12 episodes or whatever, but that story is so good, and it's set in the Star Wars universe. Like, the little rock creatures that we see, like, that type of shit is Easter egged all through the Andor, and we get to see, like, real, like, ground level Star Wars, where what are the people on the boots on the ground doing to start this rebellion, right? Because the rebellion isn't just Luke blowing up the Death Star, right? Like, there was a bunch of people doing shit behind the scenes already, and people that were noticing that the Republic's losing their grips to the Empire, and the Empire's forming, right? Like, it can all be felt right before it happens, and that's what Andor's about. So if you guys haven't watched those shows, highly recommend them. But if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. My name is Big Cam. If you'd like to follow me on my other social medias, links down in the description below. Big Cam pretty much anywhere. 2 G's and Big, because I'm extra big. I hope you liked that intro of this video. Me and my roommate Bonad having a fucking laugh in my Jedi robes. But thank you guys for watching. Today is July 4th. Happy 4th to everybody celebrating. I hope everyone has a beautiful long weekend, has some barbecues, get some sun, maybe sitting on a beach, having a floaty on a river, drinking, who knows. Have a good weekend, do your thing. Me personally, I'm going to be relaxing, and I got a lot of Legos to build, and I'm still kind of putting the house together and making it my own, so still got a lot of shit to do, but stay tuned. Movie reviews coming out this weekend, and so much more, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one.